Oh, so you can't blend a cheeseburger. Anyway, hi guys, welcome back to another ITH podcast where we're chatting what can you blend. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much.
That's a subject that we should do a separate podcast just about what you can blend.
Well, I think there's a YouTube channel called Will It Blend that have millions and millions of subscribers.
Oh, damn it.
So don't worry. Anyway, we are here today. Thank you again for coming to listen to us or watch us, depending on what platform you're using at the moment. All of the last podcasts we've done have been absolutely amazing. Talking to Schmark, aka Tim Schmee's manager. That was amazing at Autosport. Talking to who else have we spoken to? Oh god, there's so many now. Rally drivers.
Is this like a list of
drivers.
people that are better than me on a podcast?
No, not at all. Becky. We haven't even come on to you yet.
This is it now. We've peaked this year.
Ooh.
It's all downhill from here.
Well, we haven't got to the end of this podcast yet, Tim. So don't.
Very true.
Don't blow your trumpet or whatever the phrase is. Anyway, Becky Evans, welcome to our podcast, aka QueenB. Is this the first podcast you've ever done? Have you done a podcast before?
This is my first podcast, actually.
Wow,
It
we're taking
is.
your podcast cherry.
Popped my cherry,
Podcast
indeed.
cherry, amazing.
Nice.
Well, welcome. It is filmed, as you can see. We have a few GoPros, but a lot of people listen to it audio only, so don't worry too much. How are you? I was going to say you're obviously doing very well, but you're wearing a jumper with lots of holes in it. So is that a fashion thing, or is that a mishap with the washing machine?
Christian, and I don't have to tell you about what looks good because you obviously don't know. Still.
I don't. Where's my iron?
Christian rolled out of bed this morning straight into...
I was like, it's a podcast, it's fine. And then I forgot that we've obviously got a few GoPros. But, okay, we're going fashion.
This is opening ceremony. This is like a really trendy New York brand. It's great. Anyway, I've worn this for like 3 days in a row as well still.
You do not actually know apart from the holes in it. But there we go.
Yeah.
We wanted to get you on today because Tim and I were having a chat a few weeks ago. And we're like, Becky's doing some awesome stuff at the moment. We've been seeing you on TV. You're on the One Show. Now you've got this whole YouTube series about the Formula E stuff. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to get you in, have a little chat about, I suppose, who you are, where you've come from, what you're doing, what you hope to plan on doing. I suppose just touching on a little bit of what you've done. So I suppose, as we usually do, let's start from right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Has passion for cars and things always been something you've enjoyed?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a kid, it was all what I was surrounded by, basically. My dad was heavily into cars, drag racing. He did stock car racing, banger racing, then went into drag racing. My brother and me both started go-karting when we were 8, and then went from go-karting into junior drags. My dad, the whole time, was still doing a lot of stuff with the MSA, and we were always just going to different tracks and seeing different forms of motor racing and getting involved as best as we could. And then, it was just, the only analogy that I can ever use is it was just a constant theme in our lives. It was like growing up with 2 parents that have 2 different languages. It's like you become bilingual. It was the same with cars. I could start rolling off facts about a 1967 Chevy, which I didn't even know why I knew, but I just knew it because I just grew up watching Christine and grew up watching American Graffiti. And it just honestly was something that was just a complete blend of my family, and it was how I grew up.
So was it your dad that kind of got you into karting? Because, and if we can find it, there's a very funny picture of you very, very young in a go-kart.
Yeah.
Which, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that picture now. If you're not watching and you're just listening, it's basically a very young Becky in a go-kart looking super cute.
My little chubby cheeks.
With your little chubby cheeks. So go-karting was obviously something that you got into very young. Was that your dad that went, have a go? You might enjoy it. You might not like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, my brother was 4 years older than me, which David started go-karting when he was very young because, we grew up watching Dad racing. So why wouldn't we have a go ourselves? And Dad being involved with the MSA, like he knew where all the tracks were, knew like all the different people involved. And it was just, natural progression of things. But when obviously I came of age 4 years later from my brother, my dad was always like, well, what do you want to do, B? Like, do you want to have a go? And obviously I was like, yeah, of course I want to have a go. Like David's racing, and I used to go and see my brother race. And again, it was just a natural progression of things. And go-karting was the ideal starting point for like a young one who wants to get into motor racing.
And you enjoyed it?
Absolutely loved it. It was, for me, it was just more time spending time with my dad. Do you know what I mean? Cool. And we had such a laugh. Like, there was never any pressure. He was never one of those dads that was like, you need to win, you need to do this. Obviously, he was like, do your best, B. Like, I don't want you to just run around at the back. But it was just a really nice family weekend. Yeah. And I my fondest memories are sort of the weekends we went drag racing and the weekends we went go-karting, and like, it was just, it's the
That's
beginning.
amazing. Your dad takes you drag racing. That's so
that is
cool.
awesome.
And it's all the stories. It's all the stories around it. You know, when I first started go karting, and my favorite story, my dad said to me, you do the rolling lap before, and I think I was like 8 years old, and I forgot about the rolling lap. So I remember my thought. I remember my thought process really clearly as well, because I was right at the back. So I was one of the novices, and like everyone was going really slow, and I sort of drove around and was like, "Yeah,
This is easy.
check." I was like, "This is why my brother keeps winning. This is piss." Drove out, and then I just remember seeing my dad like,
Slow down.
There's dad like in the MSA, and his daughter's just like skinning everyone on the
Oh
rolling
my
lap.
God.
And then I remember one of the other
Amazing.
drivers being like, and then I ended up going to the back where I should have been the whole time. But it's not the point. It was like, and my dad was like, "Now, Bex, not ideal,
But you learn, right?
but I learned."
That's what.
Live and learn.
And now we
That's
laugh
what
about
it's
it.
doing.
And what was the other thing is like, with the transponders on the go-karts to sort of separate out your times, etc. And I remember seeing the cone in the middle of the track, and I was like, that looks like a good old target. So I literally just like nailed this cone for no apparent reason. Dad just saw it come up, hit the transponder wire, like knock everything out. I was a nightmare. Basically.
Reckless driver.
It's always been it's like liability. That word follows me around a lot still to this
I'd love
day.
to see your insurance policy.
It's actually quite good.
Okay, so we started in karting. You obviously very much enjoyed that. Were you any good?
I was
Other than knocking everything over?
I was pretty decent. Like I got a few novice trophies and things like that. But I moved quite quickly from go-karts to junior dragsters, because Dad was obviously becoming more and more heavily involved with drag racing. So he was there a lot, and the opportunity came up for us to buy the car. So I made the switch from go-karting, because I had quite a bad accident as well. I got fired off into a marshal post and kind of really hurt myself.
In karting?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then, you know what, as a sort of 11-year-old, I just decided, Dad was like, well, we can do this sport instead. So then we went from there into drag racing. And
So explain to me what a junior dragster is.
So-
is it an actual drag racing car for kids?
Yeah.
Or you're kidding me?
I'm being serious.
in my head now. I mean, this is completely wrong. I've got those little Tykes cars,
Dude,
the red ones with the yellow roof.
Yeah.
One of those with a V8 strapped to the front and massive wheels in the back. That would be amazing.
You know what, like they are chromoly chassis, and they're half-scale dragsters. So it was like, it's a fully built.
And what engine
dragster.
is in
It's like a
there?
snowmobile engine, so it's an automatic, only 2 gears. But like, you think about it, over the quarter mile, mine was a 790 car in the end. So you get up, it's quite hard to explain this all in like a really small amount of time. I had a JMA, which is a junior modified advanced, and that was a 790 car over the 8th. Now, if you kept your foot in it, which you weren't supposed to do because the engines are not designed to do that, you can do in 11 seconds over the quarter mile.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So
That is-
at that 13, 14 years old, you're still doing 80 over the 8th mile, which is good.
Yeah.
And you know what? The whole point of what we were basically learning, because it's the perfect nursing pool, is reaction time. So you'd have the tree, obviously, and we were on the sportsman tree, so the lights were half a second. So you have pre-stage, stage, like yellow, green. And like it was so competitive in juniors that we were racing down to 1,000ths of a second, hundreds of thousands of a second.
Wow.
So like if you pulled a 00 light, so it was like 0.006, like that was a wicked competition light. And you were qualifying on your reaction time. So it was just an amazing sort
Would
of
you
breeding
say
ground.
you've got a really good reaction time?
I would say so, yeah. I feel like this is going to get put to the test, but it was.
Find an app.
Yeah.
It's like now.
We need to find somewhere that's got one of those things that you tap, that the F1 drivers
Yeah,
do.
like that. Yeah, I
fun.
mean that's good reaction times. Also, you need the movement. Like I put on
Yeah.
a few pounds since then. So, but yeah, it's a very, very interesting sport. And do you know what? There's a lot of chat about gender disparity in motorsport. Drag racing has one of the best gender disparities like of any motorsport. Like I was surrounded by girls. We were a pack. Like there was like me and like 5 of my mates, and we all had these like sick little dragsters. Like I'll get you a picture of it. Mine was wicked. And
I don't think I've ever seen a junior dragster.
No.
It's
That sounds
scary, but it's also pretty cool at the same time. And I'm going to have a swift chat with my parents as to why I wasn't in a junior dragster as a kid.
Yeah.
and it's, as I said, and it's a very, very friendly family sport, like drag racing. And you see a lot of it where it's like the elders have got a car and, like super gas or something like that, and then their kids are racing, and then they go from racing the junior
amazing.
dragsters, and then they go into super gas or something like that.
Was your father ever worried about
No.
you? Because obviously you had a crash in karting. Was he like, now I've just strapped her into this metal box with quite a powerful snowmobile engine in the back?
No, my dad is, well, bearing in mind that dad writes the rules for safety of British drag racing as well. So, we were fully strapped in, full, fire suits, arm restraints, helmets, roll cage. Like dad obviously would spec the roll cages and things like that. So they have a full roll bar hoop. Like you'd have to be really trying to hurt yourself.
Cool.
But,
Richard Hammond said the same thing.
Yeah.
Goodness,
Slightly bigger type dragster type thing, wasn't
the
it?
car that he actually, the first one, I think it was Vampire, which was the, God, what are they? They are jet cars. My dad designs the kerosene injector on the current Fire Force car. So he was telling me about it's something to do with terminal velocity and the way I don't know, but my dad's like an engineer and stuff, and he kind of explained that crash. That is quite a common, not common. I'm not going to say that it's common. Anyway, moving on.
It's all very safe.
Yes. So just quickly,
sorry,
so what age can you start doing junior drags?
You can start at, I think it's 8.
8. Okay.
8 years
But then,
old.
but they're stuck.
My brain's going tentative. I've got a 6-year-old girl who loves cars.
In 2 years.
You will have to let me know because
My wife can't see this one.
I absolutely love introducing people to drag racing as a sport because, it's where I grew up and I have such fun memories of it. And it's such a community, if you wanted to go in, like everyone's really helpful. The pits are really open and I don't know. It's just drag racing is one of my favorite sports.
Well, you've got my mind thinking
but
anyway.
But she would start with a stock
Your wife's
car.
going to hate you.
She is.
Yeah, she would start with a stock car, which is a 1290 over the 8 mile. That is slow, I would say. But, when you're 8 years old doing 30, 40 miles an hour and sort of learning the lights is the key thing. But Santa Pod have the car that you can rent out for the weekend. So even if you took your girl up and she could have a go and see if she liked it, then, I know all the people there if you want to do that.
Nice. That's cool. Well, if anyone listening as well, just get in touch with
Plug.
absolutely.
Plug.
Okay, so that's kind of, I suppose, the foundation of your automotive love for all things fast and exciting. Yeah. What made you become the, I suppose, what would you call yourself? Like influencer, personality, presenter, a bit of all of them, I suppose.
It's a real mix, I think, because, what do I enjoy doing? Like, ultimately, I enjoy dicking around in cars and people...
Don't we all?
Yep.
Well, there you go, and that's the basis of everything. It was just everything grew around it. Like, I've always been me and, I have such a good time doing what I love that when I started making the content, it just worked. And the presenter side of it is a skill that you kind of just develop from being able to talk on camera. And then that's all just sort of naturally moved on within itself.
So did you go to uni or?
I did go to university.
What did you study at university?
I went to Oxford Brookes and I did business and economics.
Okay.
So I've got a degree. Mainly, I did a lot of finance stuff. Like I've convinced myself that that's what I wanted to do.
You should have a chat with TGE.
I mean, only if I really have to, Bless him. That came from taking a break from racing because, classic story. You get to going from juniors into senior racing, very expensive. My dad was like, what do you want to do? I was like, Dad, I think I should go to university, do that part of my life because I'm the last of 4 kids to go to uni as well. My dad's very much an academic. Like he wanted me to go to uni. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll go to university, do that bit. And then I could come back to, you can come back to cars, you can come back to racing at any point in your life.
Did you I know Oxford Brookes have got a race team. Were you involved in that?
No, I actually wasn't. I was just doing the streetcar stuff at that point. I was that girl in the white Mark IV Golf that was sort of hooning up and down Carley Road. Genuinely, and it had like 19-inch BBS CHs in it. Had a Recaro.
I saw you posted a picture of this on Instagram
the other day.
The other day, it looked awesome. That had different wheels. That had like
they were the 3-piece. They were
ones.
Rotoform VCs, 3-piece, quad-plated chrome, 10s on the rear, 9s on the front. They were so heavy they slowed my car down. Right,
Nice.
It was a 1.4, and I put these wheels on it, and it literally slowed the car down. I felt the needle just like struggling to get past like 40 miles an hour. But they were brilliant. But the only problem with that was, at the time, I couldn't afford air ride suspension, which makes your whole life a lot easier. So everything was static. So we were winding down the coilovers, cutting the bump stops off, cutting the anti-roll bar off, Like this thing was hard.
Slammed.
It was so hard. And also it's swing beam rear suspension. It's not independent. So every time you hit it, but the whole body just came down and just basically
I can
chopped all
literally
the right.
feel it.
Yeah.
My dad hated it. I loved it. I thought
I'm
it
not
was
surprised
amazing.
your dad hated it.
I know. Well,
He refused to get in it in the end.
well, when I was, it's exactly the same sort of thing, but many, many years earlier. Because when I was 17, my mate he was the first one, and he got a Nova. He got a Nova 1.3 SR, which was like awesome thing. But it was we got 17s on it.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous on a Nova. And we
scraped everywhere.
well, exactly. The first time, and we all drove to Abersoch in North Wales, and we were 4 up with all our luggage, and we just remember going down the motorway and just going over every single bump.
Yeah.
Every time it was just scraping on the rear. So he then did the same, and because we were young and poor, we just lowered it.
Yeah.
And it was like that.
Yeah,
The whole time. Sorry, Patrick.
It was absolutely the thing was. It was a nightmare to drive, but I absolutely loved it because that was where I really cut my teeth on modifying. Because back in the day, you know, you had to put real effort into it. You know, the modification for a Mark IV at the time was like Mark 1 filler caps from a TT. So you go to a scrapyard, get someone to get a rear quarter, cut that out, then weld that in where the original Mark IV one was, smooth it, paint it, get that all done. And then, you know, when the Mark Vs came out, they were the big baller, big boy car, but I couldn't afford one, classic. So we go to a scrapyard, find a tailgate, cut out the boot release because it was the badge. Everyone thought that was hot shit at the time. And then you get that, weld that, cut your old boot release out, weld that in, paint it, fill it. And
I really, really hope there are people watching / listening to this, like kind of knowing who you are a little bit, but maybe thinking, oh, you know, maybe they needed a woman on that show or they needed a girl to do this. And then you're absolutely smashing with all these facts. You know exactly what you're talking about. There are so many people that I suppose would have no idea that you see on TV doing all this stuff. And you've lived it. You're doing it. You're getting your hands dirty, doing all the things that any automotive person would do, whether they're male or female. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this is what I love. And this is why I love having a chat with you. It's great.
But the thing is, for me, you know what? I'm not alone. There are so many girls out there doing this. It's just that I decided to stick a camera in my own face. That is the only difference. Like I was.
So when did that happen then? So you went to university, you got your degree, you came out of uni. At what point did you say, I want to do something with cars, or I want to film myself messing around with cars? What was the progression?
Okay, so then I went to university, did that for 3 years, and then came back and then moved to London when I was 23. And I got a job in fashion PR. And you know what? From idea to execution, me actually moving to London was about 2 months. I just went, oh, what am I good at? Chatting, breeze, and pretty good at fashion because I worked with independents and worked at Carhartt and streetwear when I was back in Cov because that's where I'm from. And went into PR. And I saw the way the media landscape was changing. You know, circulations of publications were going down and then the rise of the influencer as such. And I'm talking to these girls every day and I'm like, Jesus Christ. You know, and here's another one and another one, another one. And I was, you know, obviously I'm there looking at the numbers and looking at how much these girls are getting paid. I was like, you've got to be joking. So I then looked at my own space. I was like, well, what's going on with cars online? And I just suddenly saw a collection of people which were apparently representative of automotive online that I was like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting. And there's no one, you know, where is the female voice? Because as I said, there's loads of us. I've got loads of female mates that are into cars, bikes, whatever. And none of us, and we're not being supported. You know, online, there's just no presence basically. So it was a conversation. I met up with Sam Seen Through Glass at the time, and
I think that's the first time I saw you. That's one of Sam's videos where he sort of introduced you.
Yeah.
But weren't you teaching him to do something on a track or something?
No, it was literally that video was the most painful thing to film because I had no idea what I was doing. I was so nervous. I didn't really know what I wanted to say almost, but I just knew that what I was doing outside and off camera would be worthwhile filming on camera because, you know, I bought the 21 and that whole social media on my Instagram was growing really organically in my pocket anyway.
When you say you bought the 21?
The E21.
Okay.
Yeah, so my 83 E21. Yeah, I bought that when I was 21 years old because that was my first classic. But when I bought that car out, which was on bags, like polished BBS RS, like this car was balling at the time.
It did look great.
It was sick, dude. Like I was like, I thought I was the Mac daddy, you know, like, And I was doing all the start show circuits and all of that. Yeah, when I bought that car out, my social media had a bit of an explosion, and then suddenly everyone was like, "Oh, who's this chick who's got this vintage BMW?" And I was like, "Yeah, me." And it was. I then just kept going to shows, and it was all growing, blah 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 blah, blah all the rest of it. I just forgot my point now. I've literally just forgotten where we are. So I went to all the shows.
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. And then, we just decided that maybe what I was doing off camera would be worthwhile putting onto YouTube, whatever. And I met up with Sam, and Sam was like, just film
everything.
Basically just film what you're doing and then put it online. And then I guess that's when it started. And now we are where we are today. That was 2016. I started the channel.
So within a couple of years, you've done loads of videos, loads of content, but you've also been picked up by Red Bull. So we can quickly, briefly mention that. So what is it that you do with Red Bull?
Red Bull, I have a 5-part series on Red Bull TV called Drift Queen. And that is...
It's seriously good. If anyone hasn't seen it, by the way, jump
Watch
on
it.
and have a look. Yeah,
It is. It's genuinely really good content to watch.
You know what? That was like a dream come true. Like the Red Bull thing for me was such... Yeah, it was such a moment because it was an opportunity to work with a brand, A, that I loved, B, with people that they basically say to you, the sky's the limit. You got an idea, bring it to us. We'll see if we can make it happen. Even if you're like, I want to drift on the moon. They're like, okay, B. I mean, we might have to scale it back a little bit, but
we'll start with the car park.
But we can get you drifting. I don't know, up Mount Kilimanjaro. They'll make stuff happen. And
but you went quite a few places with Red Bull. You went out to Japan, didn't you?
Went to Japan. Went to LA, and obviously all around the UK. I mean, that was just in the short time span of the series because it's only 5 episodes. It was very much like a tester. They were like, okay, we'll test the waters with this girl, and the reception was amazing, and the edit was amazing. Like the whole thing came together really nicely, and I enjoyed working on that project so much because I had to get stuck in. The S15, which is the car which gets built during the series, I was helping put the diff in. I was helping put the coilovers in, changing.
But that's the kind of person you are, isn't it? It's not like they took you out of your comfort zone. You wanted to get involved. You wanted to be able to help create this car.
Yeah, I absolutely. When you're driving, and my whole dream was to be a multidiscipline driver, right? So drifting to me, I was like, okay, cool. There's something that I haven't tried before, something that I can get good at. And the car itself, you're learning when you have a mechanical sort of sympathy and you're seeing the way these things are going together, you then have a much deeper knowledge of how that enables the car to move in that way.
Yeah.
So, the setup with the toe arms and the camber arms and also the diff, the two-way diff, I'm looking at the flanges and you're like, okay, now it all makes sense. It's like, why does that work like that? And then you when you're driving that car and you're like, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense, and I would stress to people, if you don't understand, if you want to get better at driving, learn how that whole thing works. Goes together, because then you just for your own head, like it just makes it easier for me anyway, like it makes the whole driving thing easier.
And doing that series, that then basically you were on the One show. I can't believe it. Like I saw your Instagram, like, oh, I'm going to be on the BBC. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I turned it on, there's another cute little picture of you when you started, and then you were doing basically burnouts right in front of the One show studio. I was like, what is going on?
That is a glow up, my friends. Tesco's car parks are outside the BBC. Try me. Like it was, it was again another amazing moment, which Red Bull, we worked with Red Bull to make happen because, it was promoting the Drift Queen series. But it started off, we were like, should we do it on a rooftop? Maybe bring you in on a helicopter? And the safety aspects of that just didn't work out. But then they were like, okay, what about outside the BBC? I was like, send it.
Yeah.
Send it for life. And the best thing is, I was watching the news the other morning with all the Brexit stuff, and then I saw these 2 dudes, and everyone's photographing them walking into BBC, and I'm like, ha! I've done a donut right there, right there.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's like serious creds, way in my mind, anyway.
And now the latest thing you're doing is the Formula E YouTube show.
Yes, Voltage.
And are you enjoying it? Like, what is this? Because I speak to a lot of people about Formula E because I love it. And being that I also work at Virgin Radio, Virgin have got a race team, so I try and follow the guys.
DS.
Well, it's not anymore, is it?
I don't know.
I feel like it's changed.
I was like DS to Cheetah, actually. That's a completely different team. I know my stuff.
But what was it about the Formula E, I suppose, aspect that you wanted to get involved with? Or were you just like, this is awesome, like, I'd love to host a show about this motorsport that I don't currently know that much about, and we're trying to learn a bit more about? Because I guess just like everyone, Formula E is a very new thing, and a lot of people don't know quite the ins and the outs. And I was learning about fan boost a few months ago and how that works. But I suppose it is the way that motorsport is going, and it's the way definitely consumers are going in terms of buying electric cars. What was it about that interested you?
Do you know what?
Please just turn around and say the money if it was.
Well, obviously, every little
payment
helps.
is good.
Every
Getting
little
paid
helps.
for something is nice.
But do you know what? I'm not going to stand in the way of progression. At the end of the day, I'm the biggest ICE fan that you've got going out there, but it's happening. It is going to continue to happen. That electric is going to become a thing, and motorsport and racing, which we so love and want to preserve, that is the future. Electric racing is the future. Now, once I started looking at the field and started delving into the past and sort of the way this sport has developed, and just we're into season 5 now. It is amazing the leaps and bounds that they've come, and the racing is actually exciting. I will admission here, I have not watched motorsport that closely for quite a while because I got so bored of the same people winning. It's we're watching someone almost drive around the track on their own because they get so far ahead. And the commentary, slightly boring. I'm going to go out there and say that. It's just not exciting for me to watch. And Formula E is kind of like, when you go out on a go-kart track and they say, right, boys, no contact. All goes out the window. They're running into each other. They're like...
Some of the crashes are pretty insane.
Mate, and they're flipping the bird at each other and they're rowing. And you know what I mean? It's got some real drama to it. And I quite enjoy that. And the Voltage show is a live show which is streamed alongside the race. So whilst it's all happening, We've got our YouTube guests. Obviously, we've had some great ones. We've had KSI, Zerka, Will Ennie, Stephen Tries. We have that element, and then we have the race at the same time. And we can, it's like a fun...
So do you provide commentary as the race is going on, or do you kind of let the race happen and then pick it up again afterwards?
Well, as things are happening, we have certain points that we're talking about, which drivers, how well they're doing. We've had Massa's just come in, and then Van Dorn, all of these different people. Cool. There's lots of points to talk about, and obviously as the race is happening, things are happening. Yeah. So the guests are getting involved with the race. They've got their favorite drivers. There's always that's the thing with the Formula E race. There's always action happening, which is great. By
the way, it's Envision version.
Did you just check?
I did check, yeah.
Good. Yeah, because my friend, actually, Robin Friends, he races for them. He's a very steely-faced Dutchman.
Sam Bird's a very good driver.
Yes.
Very good driver. Yeah, I enjoy watching.
He did really well this weekend, actually.
Well
done, Sam Bird.
Formula E is, I think it's the way it's going to go. If you look 10 years into the future, maybe not 10 years, 20 years into the future, I don't think Formula 1 might not even be around anymore.
Well, Formula 1 have got a real problem at the moment. We're trying to get young people into the brand, and they are... in my eyes, messing it up. Yeah. But they're not letting a lot of creators come and do the things that they should be doing at races and things like that. A few people have managed to get in. Like Red Bull are very, very good at getting people along. But I think they need to open it up a little bit.
Well, one thing I found that was, I don't know if this is true or not, but that Formula E, they basically own the rights to electric racing. Basically, if there is going to be a Formula style electric race series in any format, they own it.
Yeah,
I just love the fact that it's going to be
them.
It's all street stuff.
Yes,
but come on, London, cooler. Let's bring it back here. We had one round Battersea Park, and that was it.
Yeah,
and they were like, no, too much noise pollution. You're kidding me.
No,
this old lady can't walk her dog for 24 hours because of the parks being shut.
It was a pretty poor show.
we are London. We are amazing. Let's show people that we can have a good time. And the
UK is the home of motorsport. We have all the motorsport engineers. Something like 80% of most motorsports cars are designed and built in the UK.
Correct, yeah.
So why the hell do we not do more for motorsport? And are we shutting down races? We're shutting down Rockingham.
Yeah, I know. Rockingham's gone.
We love Rockingham. We went to Rockingham last year.
It was great. It was a great track.
It really annoys me. Is there going to
be a Series 2? Do we know yet?
So I can't say anything too much now.
Oh, here we go.
But we're talking about it.
Okay.
I mean, I would.
That's such the media response. Well done.
Do you like that?
We're in talks.
I'm learning. Like when I first went in there, I was green. But now I'm starting to get that slight media training.
Okay.
Slightly more refined.
But it's looking potentially quite likely.
Maybe.
Was that a wink?
Yes.
I want to talk about women in motorsport and just women in car automotive land in
Yes.
general, really. And it's perfectly, we've gone on perfectly because they've just announced this W Series.
Yes.
See, W Series is quite exciting. It's going to start this year. It's going to offer a prize fund of $1.5 million, free entry for 18 to 20 competitors, all women. They're going to be selected purely on, I suppose, tests and appraisals and testing and stuff. The overall winner will win $500,000,
$500,000,
which is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And you get prize money all the way down to 18 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
Organisers aim to stage 6 30-minute races in top circuits in Europe and feature plans that could even see it expand to America, Asia and Australia. Mm-hmm. I think this is wicked. Why hasn't this been done before? There's only been a handful of Formula One. It's probably, a handful. I think it is 5 women have ever entered a Grand Prix compared to 822. It's probably more than that now, men.
Do you know what? It's very funny. We were having this conversation yesterday, and it was something. As I said, it was something like 900 drivers in the last 42 years of F1, and only 2 women, and the last one was 40. I can't remember how many years ago. It was,
Quite a few years ago.
That's actually competed.
Who's
I mean,
actually
there's
managed
been
to
you've
complete-
We've got
test
test drivers.
and things
Susie.
like that.
She's a test driver, isn't she? For is it McLaren? I can't remember now.
I thought she was Williams.
Is it Williams?
Williams,
Maybe
Susie
Williams.
Wolf, Toto.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, Williams.
See, the thing is, the W Series is polarizing at the moment. There's a lot of different opinions being thrown around, but you know what? It's a game of numbers. There are so many male drivers, and there are a few amazing women drivers, and the talent is there. It's just that.
Well, as we were looking at the list earlier, there's quite a few UK female drivers. That have,
Jamie Chadwick's in there.
Yeah.
Alice Powell's in there. There are some amazing talent which has gone on to, enter into the W Series. I think, you know what, it's one of those things when you have males and females. We're talking about a systemic problem almost. Little Johnny's probably going to get a go-kart. Little Jenny's going to get a pony. Like, you're talking about something which is way back into our psyche. It's not like something that we wake up and go, do you know what, we're going to stop women from doing this. It's just a case of there are more men that have gone into motorsport, so there is a much bigger pool of drivers. And you know what, when there is money which could potentially sponsor and get a driver to move up the ranks from Formula 3 to 2 to 1, and he can be earning X amount of money, a lot of the time it's going to end up, the money's going to be being put behind a male driver because there's more chance of that happening. And what the W Series is aiming to do is kind of, racing's a billionaire boys club. It has been a billionaire boys club for a long, long time. Max Verstappen, he's also got a sister, Jos Verstappen. Oh, no, is that his dad? I can't remember her name.
Yeah, it's his dad.
His sister, when they were go-karting, she was every bit as fast as him, but they decided, he didn't have the money to put them both up the ranks. So he put the money behind Max, and we all know Max and where he's got to today. But his sister was just as fast as him.
I had lunch next to him. That's my claim to fame. Lunch
Next to him.
Did you
actually
sniff
next
him?
to.
Next to
Did you sniff him?
I definitely took a cheeky
think he did.
selfie. I've got
Brilliant.
a selfie of the side of his face. Patrick, you were there, weren't you? Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick's nodding. It was very weird because we all just sat down and TGE and Archie are flapping their wallets around, and we looked left and we're like, oh, there's a guy with definitely a deeper wallet than you guys. That was just it was very surreal, but lovely guy. And obviously his family have just been racing, as you just said. But is it so? Does his sister still race? Do we know?
No.
Oh,
It's a shame.
So
that is a shame.
the thing is, it's like what the W Series is basically aiming to do is completely wipe the slate clean and stop that situation from happening. It's giving them the platform and the opportunity to really show people what they're made of.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what, personally, I don't think there's any negatives that can come from it. A lot of people are getting annoyed about segregation and all the rest of it, but it's like, why would you stand in the way of progression? If I was a racer, and there's some amazing racers out there, and the only reason that they haven't been able to progress is through money,
Exactly.
So here's a series which is giving you training, and not just it's all about the media training, sponsorship, putting sponsorship packages together. It's a full 360 view and approach to becoming a professional racing driver. And many of these women obviously are professional drivers, but it's
in
just
various,
giving them another platform.
I think it's
I think it
amazing.
gets-
They've created it as a free entry. Obviously, you probably need to buy the car and
Nope.
stuff.
No, no.
They are all
They
Formula 3 cars. They provide the cars. It's
So
a Formula
Formula 3
3 car because that is the last.
You've just got to be good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and also Formula 3 is the last. It's kind of like where the glass ceiling starts for female drivers. They tend to get to there and then very rarely get above it. So that's why they wanted to start with Formula 3. and to have them driving Formula 3 cars because the progression beyond that.
Yeah, and the good thing is that the person who wins the woman who wins this championship, she gets $500,000.
She does indeed.
So
that's a big amount of money.
It's a big amount.
But it's a very small amount of money in Formula One, but it's a big amount of money.
Yeah.
But it's the best person from this year's series, and then she'll be able to buy herself a seat, or to get you have to bring sponsorship to these things, don't you?
Yeah.
You have to bring money. You're not, unless you're someone really special, you're not going to get given a seat in, because they'll probably go through to a Formula 3 team at that point, or
anything if she could get a seat anywhere.
Yeah, anyway, but it's giving her that opportunity to bring that money, and saying I've won that to the table, and then she'll be on that similar level to the other male competitors.
But she was she was always there. It was just a case of resources, and. It's not like they particularly want them to go into Formula Sport. It's like if they could get a seat in IndyCar or V8 Supercars or just something where she gets a drive, and gets maybe somewhere where she couldn't have previously got before.
Rally's a huge thing, isn't it? I mean,
Love
someone
rally.
like Katie
Munnings.
Yeah,
she's a babe.
She's done amazingly well, and now just been signed by Red Bull. I think she's the first female driver.
Yeah, she is indeed
to be signed by Red Bull.
Katie,
so congrats, Katie. That's amazing.
She is a sweet girl as well. She's lovely. Like, she was perfecting her handbrake turns at like 13 years old because her dad is very much involved in rally.
So cool.
Yeah,
nice.
And do you know what? She's such a lovely. I've sat on a sofa with her. I did a panel talk with her, and she's just really enthusiastic, and she's done some stuff for CBBC as well. It was like, I think it's amazing.
Katie's amazing machines.
Yeah, that's it.
My daughter
loves it. And you know what? We need girls like her to be doing stuff like that. That's, as I said, going right back to why you said, why did you pick up a camera? It's normalizing it. There's so many girls doing what we do, but it's just not out there for people to see. And we are herd animals, we as humans. As soon as we see others doing something, we're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, we can do that too. And it is a case of
have you ever found any difficulties in what would I suppose a lot of people say is a male dominant industry?
I mean, I'm pretty headstrong. Do you know what I mean? I'm very much.
You wouldn't have.
Fight me.
Yeah, exactly.
Fight me is my favourite phrase. No, do you know what it is? It's very subtle. The fight. It's the same thing with sexism. It's all actually done behind closed doors. I'd actually rather someone came up to me and was like, "You can't drive. You're a woman," because I'd be like, "Fight me." It's all the decisions it's all the things that you're just left out of because you're just not even considered, and you're every bit as good as your counterpart, but you're just not even considered. And you know what? More so than sexism, it's elitism. Going back to it's a global billionaire boys club. It's like it's a money game. Like, I haven't carved, dude. Like I've got my old E21, and I've managed to make a bit of a name for myself and get to some places, but I'm still encountering some attitudes that I'm like, yo, just because you got a bit of money, don't mean you're better than me. It's interesting, and I'll always fight the good fight. And I'll just keep moving. I've very much had the opinion that just keep your head down.
Well, with that in mind, what is coming forward over the next? Let's say, it's a bit of a weird question, isn't it? But where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
This is a job interview.
Oh gosh, it's like first date. It's like first date, isn't it? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
With you, not with you.
Not with
check,
you.
Please.
No, what 5 years? Oh, Christ. You know what? When I came into this game, I never wanted to be a mouthpiece. I don't want to be a pit lane reporter. And I'm not saying that their job, or a motorsport correspondent. They're amazing, the people that do that. But I looked at the great, when I was growing up, I saw people like Jeremy Clarkson, who are a real personality and opinion, like a tastemaker, an opinion maker in the industry. I want to be synonymous with the industry the way I grew up being like, oh, Susie Wolf or, Sabine or, all of these names. It's like, that's how I want to be. And I want to be the girl that managed to provide a pathway for any other chicks that are out there that want to pick up a camera and start doing stuff. And then, oh, I'm not sure. It's like, babe, just do it. Like, grow a thick skin, get stuck in, because if I can do it, you can do it. Which is so like, look at that, I'm like PC. That's media training for you right there.
If I can do it,
if
you
I can
do
it.
it.
No, but you know what I mean. It's it's a healthy dose of like realism.
Well, that's why there's so many YouTube channels popping up here, there, and everywhere, because everyone looks at them and goes, "Oh, if they can do it, I can do it."
Yeah.
And not everyone.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? But the thing is, if you come from a time where surely you were on build threads, forums, Edition 38, for piston heads, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The forum, the YouTube channel is now taking over the forum.
Yeah.
It's just
build
a different.
threads are dead.
They are dead. And you know what? I love the build thread. Like really lame. I love the build thread.
Through, oh, what are you going to do about this problem? I fixed it because of this. And
But now you sit there and watch Project Binky every time it comes out.
But that's what I mean. YouTube is replacing the build thread. So it's like, let people create what they want to create. They were already bashing keys back then anyway. It's just now we've got to see their face.
Yep.
Tim, stop it.
So 5 years time then. 5 years time. We need a definitive answer.
5 years time. So I will be 31.
Don't you just be careful what you say.
31 years old.
Yeah, very young indeed.
I want in 5 years time. I want an RS6, an FF, like my fully built drift car, a sausage dog, and
But how are you going to do that? What are you going to be doing?
I don't know. But this is the thing. Like, look at the trajectory and the journey that I've had in the last 2 years. Like, if you'd have told me 2 years ago when I was sat in my fashion PR job, miserable as sin, earning no money, and then this thing called YouTube popped into my life and changed it. Who the hell knows, dude? Like, the Red Bull job came about and that's changed my life again. I'm just going to keep moving forwards,
onwards and
staying
upwards.
who I am and just keeping the message the same as it ever was, as in just like, fight me. No, it's not.
I love that. That's the video title.
How about the first female Top Gear presenter?
Maybe. You know what? Maybe. But do you know what? Actually, I would actually prefer to have my own format and a new show. Because Top Gear, I love Top Gear and always will. And Chris Harris is he was the guy that moved from journalism to YouTube to being on the show, and
Chris is great.
He's sick
It's
at what he
just
does.
a shame the whole show's kind of gone down the toilet a bit.
Yeah,
They've jumped the shark by hiring, I can't remember, Freddie Flintoff and Paddy McGuinness.
Well, you know
For
what?
me.
They
I'm not going to comment until we've seen it.
Yeah, but
It
they,
might be really good.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
okay.
Anyway, Becky,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Onwards and upwards. If Becky can do it, you can do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
If a girl from Cov can do it, you can do it too,
But
my
I
friends.
think you get a lot of people sending you messages on social media and stuff. What is it? Just at QueenB?
It is indeed. Just
Where did the Queen come from? I can't believe we didn't cover that.
Can I, do you know what? And this plagues me to this day because I really don't have like a god complex at all. Like the QueenB thing came from when I was 14, 15 years old, when I think I got Instagram maybe a year later at that point. I was on the back row with all my lad mates, and it was my teacher walked in one day and was like, look at you think you're the QueenB, sat at the back with the boys, get to the front now. And it just stuck.
There you go.
And
Nice.
then it's the same thing as like bikerbabe999 at hotmail.com. Everyone had a joke.
Please tell me that is a genuine email address
That's
for you.
that's my best mate's one. Mine was racerbabe666 and hers was bikerbabe999
nice.
because her dad had a Ducati. And yeah, everyone's had that lame Hotmail account thing, and everyone changes it when they grow up. I still haven't grown up, so I'm still QueenB.
I can't believe that you've actually got a small cardboard cutout of the Queen.
I do
upstairs,
yeah.
and you didn't put it on the desk.
Yeah.
No, because it needs my face on it for it
That's
to
true.
really
Should
work.
Cut it out, stick it on.
Yeah, there you
that'd
go.
be good.
There you go.
Well, thank you for coming on. Hopefully, if people have been watching, listening this, they'll kind of go, well, if Becky can do it, I can do it.
Is that really
But it's-
cheesy?
No,
Oh my
no,
God.
it's
No,
not. I'm just taking the
I think
mickey.
it's good, and we'll have to get you back on another podcast because we still haven't even got into talking about your cars. So we'll
Oh
do
my
that
God,
on another
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I
We've got to
forget.
talk about the E21 and the Abarth and all
Follow
that kind
me,
of stuff.
look at my stuff, and then I'll be back.
Yep.
At QueenB. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't checked out botb.com, by the way, they give away a dream car every single week. It is my job to go out. I was in Hungary a couple of weeks ago. That was amazing. In Budapest, giving away 2 cars, actually. A guy won 2 cars. We had a double up in the
Budapest.
competition. So go and check out botb.com. Livestock competition on there as well, another weekly comp. The links are in the description below. We will be back again most likely next week.
Yep.
Who knows who it will be? As you say, it's just kind of sitting on the edge of a chair and seeing who's around, seeing who we want to chat to. Thank you again so much for coming in, Becky.
No problem.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you, and we will see you again very soon. Bye for now.
Cheerio.